get your chance to be heard, pass by, spell out. Let me hear you loud, crowd. Shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up. Shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up. Wake up. No time for sleeping on the issues. This is Neutral Voices. We gon' deal with the issues. What do you really want, what they want.
Welcome to Neutral Voices. I'm Dr. V, and this is In Depth, where we dig deep in the trenches of what matters. Tonight's topic is purposeful parenting. And we're going to have a good discussion about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Especially since I have three amazing parents with me.
Well, we got 2 and E on the panel.
Well, there we go. I kind of could count as a parent a little bit, you know, because I was a parent.
That does count as a parent.
That does count.
We have 4 parents.
So we have 4.
To be clear, I'm the father of the year.
Before we get into the father of the year two, let me tell you what you're going to learn if you hang out with us. So we're going to be talking about the different parenting styles because there's so many. Who knew? There's so many different types of parenting. The components of being a good parent and a whole lot of other stuff that I didn't know about when it comes to parenting, especially if you're not a good parent, the toll it can take on a child.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So there's a lot of things that leads to toxic stress.
Amen.
Yes, when it comes to children. This is Neutral Voices. Thanks for hanging with us. And let's get into it.
Let's go.
Let's start with the definition so that we understand. First of all, purposeful parenting did not want to roll off my tongue. So I'm like, oh yeah, we did this on purpose, but not all of us, right?
Right.
You became a parent, some people overnight, some people just
some you just woke up and you was a parent.
That's what I'm saying. But that was probably still on purpose. Either way, that's what we're talking about tonight. So what does it look like when we talk about purposeful parenting?
So there was a lot of definitions when it came to purposeful parenting. Yeah. But one that stuck out to me identified it as being intentional, being empathetic in how we raise and communicate with our children. Very simple definition. I see it as planting seeds of responsibility and planting seeds in our children with purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And were you going to?
I was just going to say with that definition, there's just one key thing. And, oftentimes we use biblical references, and it's just as simple. Train up a child in which they should go.
Yes.
And as they get older, they shall never depart from it. So, that is the purposefulness in parenting.
And I think, too, before we go deeper, we need to understand, the word purpose. So all of us, we talk about having a purpose. The 4 of us have a purpose. And, whether you write that down or act it out, it gives you a goal. It gives you something to work towards. So it's the same thing. So I actually found something when I was doing some research.
Wait, Jill, before you go
ahead.
I wanted to say with the definition, I think this is a good time to interject. July is technically purposeful parenting month.
July? Huh.
The month of July.
Wow.
Yes. So that, thanks to the United States Department of the Health and Human Services. And so it actually, that whole purposeful parenting is more like a movement.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
and
exactly.
And so I just want to go through this list real quick. And then, because we're going to be talking about this, but I do want to talk about this. So the American Academy of Pediatrics, in July, they thought about what is it that a child needs or parents need during that break, that summer break from school, etc. And so somewhere in there, that's why I said it's a movement, a time to be purposeful in the time that you spend with your child.
Right.
So I wanted Jill to kind of give me a little insight. What does summer look like with you and Macy? And what are you excited about the break?
I think now, that because she's graduated, but when she was younger, the break was, spending time with her. You know, a lot of times, and we're going to get into this, we are present for our kids, but being present doesn't mean you're present with purpose. It doesn't mean quality time is different than quantity.
Right.
Quantity is an amount of time you spend. Quality is the measure of the time that you spend. So I felt like I got more quality time with my daughter when she wasn't, you know, out of school. So I always looked forward to break. Absolutely.
And would you guys agree that you were excited about the break because you got to spend more time, or did you? And y'all can be honest.
Yeah.
No judgment. No judgments on here.
Why are you looking at me, Doc?
I'm just saying, because I know you one of those people say, I don't claim these kids, right? But to be honest, were you excited that they were home, or did you feel like, ooh, I can't wait till this break is over? Which side were you on?
It was depending on the day.
Okay.
Be truthfully, you know, depending on the day. But I liked when they were out a lot of times because we do travel and we do things as a family. And it was a lot to give them experience and giving them different ways of seeing things, seeing the world and being able to be exposed to different things. And that's where Jill is talking about the quality versus the quantity. You know, they could be out and we're just sitting at home and not doing anything. But to expose them to many different things and getting them around in many different places, letting them see the world for themselves is a different thing. So that's one of the reasons I was glad when they got out.
And so, look, he I see that face.
Oh, I mean, it didn't matter to me.
Either way.
Either way. I mean, being that a father that's not in the household, so every time I'm with them, that's my time.
That's your quality.
Time, quality time all the time. In between, we teach them everything. I try to teach them things that I know. So at the end of the day, me being who I am, hey, they're my babies, so we finna hang.
That's right. That's good. I love that. Because, and so let me speak for some of those parents out there that says, oh no, I can't wait till the break is over. They need to hurry up and get back in school, because there are some parents that are pushing for school all year. So I do want to at least insert that, the other truth.
Those parents is just, they lazy. They want somebody else to raise their kids.
Yeah, okay. I heard
serious.
that. I heard that too.
Somebody else to raise their kids, because at the end of the day, if you don't spend time with your child, they will regret. They will have some type of resentment towards you. If you don't.
Oh.
So if it's just quantity time or quality time, either way, if you don't give them that time, and you expect now as a parent, I'm expecting for you to have my child all year and not give them nothing from me.
Right.
That's worthless.
Yeah. They just see you in passing, coming and going.
Right.
Yeah. And so I agree with that. Thank you for pointing that out. So according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, I just want to go through this real quick. So parents, they thought, then this how they looked at things. Parents needed to have that time and time to be more proactive with the child, right? And help with the development. And so this whole thing came about. And so they believe that these, I think on one list, they call them the 6 Ps. And so these 6 parts of purposeful parenting were major components of raising a child. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that's going to say, I got a whole another list of things. So these are just some of the ones from this particular company. And we're going to talk about them a little bit. So if you don't mind, if y'all have something y'all need to get in there, then we can do that. So protective, personal, progressive, positive, playful, purposeful. And so all of these things together creates an environment where it will decrease the toxic stress levels from your children. This is all of these things are in place.
Right.
And so I want to just briefly go into them. So when you hear protective, the basic needs of the child, what do you think the basic needs of? And I'm sure y'all got y'all thoughts, but to you in your household, and I know y'all talked about Denzel in the movie Fences.
Yes.
And all I know y'all can quote it, I don't remember, but all he has to do is something.
All I got to do is feed, clothe, and house you. They didn't say I had to like you. No, they didn't say I had to love you. Love you.
Okay. So what are the basic needs, and do you agree with that?
To an extent.
Okay.
And you first have to give them the basics of life, food, shelter, and things such as that. But it's not limited to. and that's not what it ends at. Some people believe that, and that's not productive as being a parent. Just because I house, I clothe you, but I don't give you anything tangible or anything that you can take and build off in life. So to protect you is not just keep you from danger, but it's to show you roadblocks and things that you don't have. So I educate you to look out for that, that when I'm not there, you have sight and you have vision and you know what not to fall into. You know which way not to go versus, all right, I'm keeping you in a house and I'm keeping you safe. Sooner or later, they're going to leave the house. So you have to prepare them, and preparing them is protecting them.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the basic needs, I want to say this, then I'll let you guys add to it or take away. They say food, shelter, sleep, and support are the basic needs.
I would say
if
to
you
survive.
provide that, that's all you got to do.
Survive, but not to live.
That's the only thing that's required.
Well, I mean, that's just survival.
Okay.
What you just named was survival.
Okay, and that's why I'm saying, so I want y'all to speak to this, but I'm saying if I'm looking at that and not, I mean, from either side, a parent or non-parent, etc., I'm thinking food, shelter, sleep, and support. Or first of all, I would probably offer that to a stranger.
Or a dog.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
So that's survival mode. So you have to,
That's what I'm saying.
You have to look deeper into one of the biggest things I say is discipline.
Okay.
Because when you discipline a child, and I'm not saying discipline as far as putting my foot, whooping them or busting them to the white meat all the time.
No.
But discipline meaning teaching them how to do things in a structural manner.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay, when you say discipline, so would you say to add to your basic needs in your household, so to speak, discipline is a part of the basic needs in raising your child?
Discipline is the number one need.
Okay.
I would go with that and change discipline, interchange it with support. Because discipline is a form of support.
Okay.
Because as we talked last night, and Miss Cindy from CASA brought up the point that if you raise a child in a certain way, they're going to grow in that certain way. So if they can do one or two things. So if they in an alcoholic environment, they can go one or two ways. They can never drink alcohol, or they can fall into
Exactly.
So I agree with Ian, that support. So that discipline, if you show them the right ways and you give them the right ways, and as he said, discipline is not always a physical or whooping or something bad.
That's
it's just a correction and a way of showing. But we take discipline as a bad thing. When we say discipline, we think the child has gotten into trouble and something like that. But it's not. Discipline is not always bad. It's as you say, it's teaching and structuring.
Right.
Absolutely, Jill.
When you talk about basic needs and other needs of a child, I ran across an exercise. And because I'm a parent and parenting with purpose, I dug into it because I'm like, am I parenting with purpose? My daughter's 18, so obviously I did something right, but I found an exercise. And first off, I think it's important to know that the best way to parent with purpose is to identify that purpose. Like if you have a purpose, if you have a calling, you know exactly where you're going. You know what you need to do in order to get there.
Right.
This exercise gave you the mindset, for example, that it said, what do I want my child to know or to be? So it asks you to write a couple things. So for me, I put, I want you to know that you're loved. I want you to know God. I want you to be healthy. I want you to feel safe. I want you to respect others, be responsible. I want you to know life skills. I want you to be accepting of your own emotions. And I want you to be your best every single day, no matter what that best is. So that is the list. And I looked through that list, and there's nothing about food, shelter. So the problem is people are basic. Like we laughed when we talked about the basic needs of a child. And some people are okay with basic, but that's where we are. That's why we are where we are.
And guess what? What you just said would fall on the other list. The basic skills for success.
Right.
For that child.
Yep.
So you just basically hit the list. And so the basic skills would be language, teaching them self-control,
Right.
and social skills. And so putting all of that in there, that's the list, I would say.
Right.
So, and then I know you guys were talking about something at the beginning when you were said there's no absolutes.
There's no absolute science. No,
Yeah.
there's no absolute
I
science.
mean, each child is different.
Each
Each
child is
household
different.
is different. I mean, I have a boy and a girl, so it's a difference. It's a basically night and day difference
In the way you-
between my two. One acts like me. One is super social. One is very introvert. One is very fashionable. The other one, you know what I'm saying. So you have to decide which way how you gonna deal with
That's right.
each one of their problems.
That's right.
Right.
I love that. Let's go to another one of the P's. It's personal, and so that falls right into it. What you're saying, you need to treat them from a different,
Accordingly.
Yes.
according
Treat
to
them
that
accordingly.
particular, So being personal, and another way to look at being personal would be prioritizing kindness for your child. And I think some parents may not even think.
My bad.
Some parents may not even think about kindness when it comes to the child.
Yeah.
But one of the other things that falls with that in being personal and in showing kindness to your kid would be you're working, you're busy, but to take the time and purposely give your child eye contact.
Right.
Right.
And stop doing whatever it is. Even if you're mixing the cake mix.
Yep.
We think it's just about people in the newspaper or on their phone. No, whatever else you're doing, take time away from that to show kindness to your child
Yeah.
and make it a personal moment by giving them that eye contact and letting them feel the connection happen.
Yeah.
So,
And
that's personal.
I also ran across the fact that I think it was a Harvard study where they did a survey, and I think it was either 70 or 80%. It was a high number of parents do not feel a connection with their child
Right.
because of that lack of quality time. And like E said, if we are not sitting down and spending this time with our children, somebody else is going to, because there are 24 hours in the day.
Right.
And if I'm not doing it,
That's right.
maybe they're doing it, maybe they're doing it. So spend time with your child and make it count. And when
That's
you
right.
talked about kindness, we have to display that too. My daughter sees how I treat people.
That's
She
right.
sees how I hold the door open. E's son sees how he respects and gives a handshake. Like
That's
our
right.
kids are watching too. So the display of that is important.
That's right. And
necessary.
that's one of the things that I had here, not in that list per se, but it talks about, and I was going to ask you guys the question, so you kind of opened it up. Are you role models? Are you modeling things for your child and showing them by example
Yeah.
how you want them
all right,
to
Charles
be?
Barkley. All right,
So-
but
so
can I
Clarence,
just got one
We'll put a
thing.
pin in that and we'll let you speak.
I just wanted to, when you say personal, and I think this is one of the flaws that we as parents have. And I think it's a lot because we think we know everything and we've been through everything. We have a great, so we don't see them as persons.
Yep.
So we don't build that personal relationship. We keep them. No, seriously.
No. You're very right, and I'm gonna blow your mind with something I'm gonna share from today.
I mean, I'm gonna let you finish, but it's a reason why.
But and you can have your retort. But
Okay,
I'm just
I'm gonna
saying. But a lot of us in our minds, a lot of us in our minds, and a lot of us that see, we've deemed them as ours or like a possession. When we don't give them that personal. When you're a 4 or 5 year old, it's trying you cooking and you try, mom, dad, or whatever, and you get on them. You see them doing something,
That's
and
right.
you don't
Busy.
take the time to figure out. That
And they just
might,
trying to tell you, I just set that on fire.
Right. So
you don't even know what they want.
Or like we said this on a few shows, your 5-year-old comes to you, and they living in the squares, but they say, "Mom, Dad, I want to be an astronaut." Our first thing is, no, you can't do that.
Right.
We don't see them as that
Boy, go
person.
sit down.
Yes. So I think that's a lot of times that is a barrier
And
for
can
a
you
lot
take
of
me
parents.
out that way?
Retort.
I didn't say. I said a lot of us. I didn't say we
No,
as an
you did
absolute.
say you did say we. Say, boy, sit down and can you take me out of that we? I appreciate that.
Well, you're not.
No, I'm not part
Nintendo.
Of the we. No, I'm not part of the we.
All right, go ahead.
I'm not.
He's going to retort. He's going to retort. Let him retort.
Okay.
Because what you said, we don't look at them as a person.
Right.
First and foremost, yes, they are a person. But second of all, a child we need to go back. Honestly, I'm just gonna say we need to go back to some of the old school ways. A child need to stay in their place.
Yeah. Know who alpha.
We too busy letting them be adults at the age of 6.
Now,
Because
that's
simple
true,
fact-
but that's not the
just
point I
simple
was
fact,
making.
Guess what? They got this in their hand, and we giving them everything they want. Versus teaching them, hey, you got to work for this.
Right.
Mm.
But we so busy giving them any and everything at the drop of a dime, because the simple fact, I want my kids to love me.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't understand. We have to say no. No
Yeah.
means no, period. I could care less how you feel about it. Because guess what? When they get out in the world is not going to always say yes.
Yeah, the world is not beautiful.
Matter
I
of
can
fact,
tell
the
you
world
that.
is cruel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
you
that
have
goes
to-
back to
Yes.
that discipline you were
So
talking
now
about.
you have to get it in their mind. Yes, I love you, but you're going to remain in your place.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't care how old you is. My daughter just turned 21. Think I'm finna go out and hang out with her?
Nah, that ain't gonna
And
happen.
you keep leading me right into my next point, my next piece. So something's going on here tonight. I love it. Progressive. That was the other P. And then you just talked about age. Changing when they change. Change the way you parent according to their age, where they are in life. So you just said your daughter just turned
21.
21. He's not going to parent the same
Right.
No.
as you did when she was
No.
10 years old, obviously.
all.
But you do have some people that have a hard time letting go,
Yeah.
letting the person grow up, etc. So change with the growth of your child. That's progressive.
Yeah, and that's a tricky thing for a lot of people too, because as he was saying, and he made a valid point, but a lot of us try to be our child's friend
Yeah.
before we
Exactly. I'm not
parent
your
them.
friend.
Yeah.
And that you can't be your child. Now you can get to a level of understanding.
Yeah.
Like if you had a daughter and then she had a daughter, you'll be able to share some things with her, some experience, and give her some more because she's more of an adult. But you're never. And I tell this story all the time, and people think I say it's funny. But my dad, I was a grown man. My dad, we went down to this thing called the Foot Wash in Uniontown, Alabama, and we came across something that was it of adult nature. My father, I'm grown. He takes his hands and does this and say, "Don't look at that boy." I'm like,
Not don't look at that boy, but boy, don't look
he
at
was
that.
like, yeah.
Okay.
He was like, "Don't look at that." And I'm sitting up there looking. I'm like, "Man, are you serious?" But he was absolutely serious.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's how sometimes you can share experiences, but you can never. But I've known, and you might know this too, working in the system. I've seen parents that do things with their children like they're adults,
Right.
Well,
and you can't do that.
And you
Dreams,
said, a lot of us parent by, we are parent driven. So we are the boss, we are the alpha. Others parent, it's child driven. So I think the problem is there's no alpha. Even my dog, for example, this morning when I let my dog out, when she comes in the house, she knows who goes first, she knows who walks behind, because I am the alpha in that situation. When my daughter's home with me, I'm the alpha. When she's at her dad's, he's the alpha.
Exactly.
I think, like you were saying, if you're their friend, nobody is the alpha. Nobody is the leader.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So you have to.
Okay.
I mean, as time goes on, and my daughter get a little older, yeah, we could go hang out. But at this age,
But hang out where?
we can go. Once she get to a certain age,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we can go to the bar and have fun. Because now I feel that
Now you're a grown woman.
It's
You're a
different,
grown
yeah.
woman. But you just turning 21. You're still a child to me.
Right.
You got
I
to
feel
show
the same.
progression.
Yeah.
Into your life. And like my 17-year-old, I will bust him to the white meat right now. He raised up on me.
If he
and he's
raised-
6'1".
He gonna
Yeah.
raise up.
Yeah,
Oh, you, I
he
know
is.
he
He's a
ain't.
big boy.
So
Well,
at the end of the day, you really have to put them in their place. And
Will you feel guilty the next day as a parent?
No.
Because I kind of want to talk a little bit about parent guilt, if you don't mind. Parental guilt. Anybody you ever felt guilty about the way you discipline your child the
Nope.
next day?
Or
Didn't?
Because if you
I see a
deserve
lot of heads shaking and nodding and saying, no.
if they deserve it, they
the
deserve
audience.
it. They deserve it. If they deserve the punishment you give them, why are you feeling guilty?
Okay, but have you ever made any mistakes and you were able to go back to the child and say, you know what, I'm sorry?
Yeah, you have to,
Yes.
because sometimes emotions get involved,
Yes.
and you get upset.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
words are being said.
Okay.
But at some point, you have to understand. That's when you have to stand back and say, "Okay, I'm not going to react. I got to respond."
Okay.
Well, and parental guilt, and I think Jill had something to say.
go
But
ahead.
what parental guilt? We touched on this last night, and I think the parental guilt sometimes is some people, and I hear people, mothers, fathers, well, I worked too much and I didn't experience this I didn't see graduation. I didn't go to football games. I didn't go to, parent teachers conferences. I wasn't actively involved, in their life. So I hear people say that they have that guilt of missing out on a lot of things because, they prioritize things over their children. And I'm surprised one of those P's is not priority, that they prioritize everything else over their children, that they don't make their child or children a priority. They find, because we're meeting those basic needs. I got to clothe you. I got to feed you. I got to pay this light bill. I got to pay this.
I got to put them Jordans on your feet.
But you're not making your child a priority and going to seeing and experiencing the things that they want to experience with you. So I think that's where the guilt comes from when you don't make your child that priority.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to pick and choose those, though. Because if you had children like mine that was always active, and you were like, okay, man, I just can't. Come on now. I sat in this theater for 7 hours to watch you dance 3 times. I'm not going to the next one.
Okay. Jill, I know you wanted to say something, and I hate to tell y'all this, but we are running out of time. So, but we got a few good things we need to cover. So, Jill.
Parental guilt is personal to me because I know there's a lot of reasons that parents can feel guilt, like you just said, or maybe somebody dealt with addiction or incarceration or comparison to others. So you start to feel inept. And as somebody who left a relationship to raise my daughter, not on my own, he's a wonderful dad, always has been, but I had to change. I had to change how I parented. Like I said, I'm the alpha now. I have to change my parenting style. I need to have absolute control over the situation. So a lot of times I feel guilt for being so hard on my daughter because I wanted to maintain control. I spanked her twice, ever. All I had to do is look at her because I was a drill sergeant mother. I do feel guilt for that. But I also feel pride because my baby's never even been in a principal's office. Yeah. So something was right.
I was going to say, so you're doing something right.
Yeah. And you said, like with work, sometimes we don't know about our roles. And you have to tell yourself, I'm working all the time, I'm never home. But then the other part has to say, you're working to provide for the home. So you have to be kind to yourself. There are things we have to do. I no longer feel guilty for being gone because my daughter sees the progression in her mother.
That's right.
So you have to get to a point. You have to get, in that mindset. That's it took me probably 15 years to get there with her.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple more P's. Which it actually is bringing us full circle. I just want y'all to know. So positive and praising. And, I was telling you, I'm sure y'all got a lot of other P's that y'all can probably put in there. So I like that you put priority in there. But praising. I mean, sometimes, and this is what my students said. Remember I said I had something good I wanted to share real quick. And y'all were talking about parenting and whatever with the kids, and et cetera. The students played a game today, long story short. It was a would you rather. Your parents are on a cliff. Now this comes from kids. I'm not going to expose the kids.
They're going to say they mama. If you ask my kids, they say they mama.
I'm just telling you. Well, okay. So y'all know where I'm going with this. Parents on the cliff, and they put both of them on there. I said both of them on the cliff.
They
both
say
of the
they
parents
mama.
on the cliff.
Yeah, they say they
but
mama.
wait. Then the bag is on the cliff. $1 billion bag is on the cliff.
Oh.
I said, y'all not going to compare y'all parents to money? And then I said, okay, so would you rather? Which one? Who's getting it? They went for the majority.
Went for the bag.
They was going for the bag.
Well, how old
my
are the
kids
parents?
gonna say-
I mean, it matters.
My kids going to say, he lived a good life. He lived a good life.
Wait, true confession, it wasn't the majority. So it was like 3 or 4, but I was really shocked that it was any. So.
Was my child in your Carolina?
The sad part about that, that's how us parents looking.
Yeah.
And that's what the parents are doing right now. We so busy chasing that bag,
Amen,
and not chasing our kids.
Right.
So we got our kids thinking that's the most important thing
That's
in
the
the world.
most
they
important
do.
thing in life. And the funny,
We gotta do
and
something different.
And this is why our kids are the way that they are.
Yeah.
Why there's so many they're so disrespectful. They don't take authority for nothing.
Right.
Because simple fact, I'm not in the house because I'm too busy at work trying to make money to provide versus flipping it.
Yeah, it's a different world.
It's a different world.
Definitely.
Real quick, the key components. Setting boundaries, being an active listener,
Right.
etc.
Yes.
let's get into setting these boundaries real quick. We are really close
I think
to
Jill
being out
said
of
it.
here.
When I think of boundaries, I think of like edges. So edges around something provide safety in the middle. So you also provide boundaries to cover all those things that were on the list: protection, safety, security. A person feels routine. So that's how you have to think of boundaries. This
Also-
is where we are right here. You set those at the beginning.
Also, to connect what you and E both said in two different sentences is Jill said, you said who's the alpha, who's the head. You got to set that boundary. You can't, cross that line. And where E said also is you got to set the boundary of you can do this and you can't do that. And you got to be strong and consistent with that.
And this is what happens if you do this. And this is what happens.
Well,
if you do that.
sometimes you gotta let them go on out that boundary.
And they will. They will.
Yeah, I mean it is.
Is that what they said? You
They
need
will.
to bump your head.
But,
your own
sometimes-
head?
but you hope we give them enough tools that when they get outside of that, maybe that they'll.
Sometimes you let them walk. You watching them walk into that water.
Wow.
You watch
I
them.
got it.
Because the simple fact, I done told you. Now go ahead.
There you go.
Go ahead.
Experience.
Yeah. Experience.
That's
Best
What do you
teacher.
do,
Is
like-
that it? Yeah. And so I heard somebody say consistency. So along with the key components, I said at the beginning that you would hear the key components to purposeful parenting: consistency, flexibility, and age-appropriate expectations.
Right.
Are you expecting too much from a child that's too young? And then, they can even get older, but you're still expecting them to be an adult and make adult decisions.
Right.
They're just 17, 18. Did we forget the frontal lobe is still developing here?
And can I hit that real quick?
Yes.
And I know we're trying to get out of here, but we know, and this is why society oftentimes see our children as more mature than other ethnic groups' children, because we put a lot on our children. We got our 10-year-olds watching our 6, 7, and 8-year-olds and raising their children. And we have them doing adult responsibilities and doing things. And where E said keep a child in their place, but sometimes we force a child out of their place.
Exactly.
And we force them into a more mature role. And then when they start doing more mature things, you still a child, but you saying I'm a child, but you got me doing adult
handling
things.
Yep.
That's right.
So it can't be both ways.
That's huge
That's
right now.
right. Listen, I know it's time for us to go, but I do want to, real quick, parents, you're doing a lot. You're doing amazing things. Don't forget to self-care.
Yep, absolutely.
Because a lot of times people focus on, and even you talked about the conversation from last night, are there any facilities where parents can go when they need to be, I want to say put on the couch, but it's not even that deep sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes they need a voice. They need to be heard. They need to know that they do have somebody on their side too. So don't forget to have that time, that personal time to balance between work and family.
Yeah.
Don't just let your child see you walking in the door and going to your room.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to parent because these kids out here want to let y'all fall off the cliff and they going for the money.
Yeah.
back.
I'm telling you, that's
We
my
got
kids.
a problem.
I'm gonna tell you now.
We got,
I swear.
we got to do better.
I swear, mine said he lived a good life.
They ain't pushing me. They drop kicking me.
For $3 in that bag.
There's $3 in there. Dad, I love you. Bye.
Thank you guys. Good conversation as we're exiting. I just want to summarize briefly with this. Purposeful parenting revolves around being intentional and empathetic when you're raising your children. And don't forget, real communication.
Right.
Eye contact communication. And never forget, I don't care how old a kid gets. What's wrong with giving them a hug?
Right.
Right? What's wrong with saying, I love you?
Right.
And so that's all a part of parenting.
Amen.
No matter what Denzel says in Vincent's. And so as we get ready to get out of here, remind yourself this. There are no perfect parents. No matter whether you're foster, a caregiver,
Right.
single parent, etc. No perfect parents.
Nope.
Thank you for joining us. This is Neutral Voices. And before we leave you, we always say, E,
Always protect your mind.
a podcast by Neutral Voices
Your thoughts
Media.
count, your opinions important, so you gotta speak out. Don't let your chance to be heard pass by. Spell out, let me hear you loud, proud. Shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up. Shout it out real loud. Everybody wake up. Wake up. No time for sleeping on the issues. This is Neutral Voices, we gon' deal with the issues.
What do you really want?